If you looking for hope in a world that has lied to you about who you really are, wrong woman, holding in story she needs to tell.
Friends that gave birth to me was the fact that I came at a very time that I was not needed. I was not wanted. I was an unwanted pregnancy that everybody was like, so how are you going to do it? That was the narrative. And it was that from that space, I knew something was wrong because every time I look at how every other person around me gets started out of life, it's like something is wrong somewhere. You know? And then you begin to see why anybody should give me a chance. Why? Because something is wrong. But with that little story of a wrong starting, that could have defined how my life should be told in its entirety, I discovered that there's yet another powerful force that is also within me, that is ready to tell me what is positive and what is possible if I choose to drop the narrative of the past and of everything that shaped how I was born.
Hello, and welcome back to Staci Speaks Hope. It is our honor today to bring on this beautiful sister another woman I've met through the podcast community. I'm going to do my best to say her name, and she's going to clean it up for me. Adeola Aketoja is the founder of Lodeta Publishing. She's a wife, a mother, and the host of the My Strong Why show. She helps faith-based women who are coaches, professionals, and creatives turn their life stories into best-selling books and six-figure personal brands. We are so grateful for you to be here. You can tell us a little bit more about what your company does, and then we'll jump into your little girl story. Welcome, Adeola.
Oh, wow. Thanks so much for the introduction, Staci. I'm happy and delighted to be here. Thanks for having me. And like you rightly said, I'm going to give you 8 over 10. My name is Adeola Aketoja, and I'm so happy to be here. I'm grateful to what you're doing and what you represent in the community, as especially women. And I just want to say thank you very much for what you do. And I'm here. Let's go.
Thank you. Well, my favorite question always, because women all have such a unique story. What do you know about your little girl, and what can you tell us about her?
So I'm going to be looking at where to start from, but I'm going to start anyhow. I'm definitely going to start somewhere because I believe that for every next level everyone seeks for, that everyone aspires to go into, there's always a past. And in that past, there is always that part that keeps staring us in the face to tell us we don't deserve whatever we look forward to having. So when you ask me that question, I want to take it through a little bit of my background. I was born and bred in Africa, so I have most of my elementary and early year. And one of the things that I love to, that comes into mind, and that I always tell my friends, colleagues, and people around me, is the fact that if there's anything that your past exists to do, it is only to remind you of what it takes to change it. I was born and bred in Africa, in a little village called Shagamu. And, when I want to do anything, one of the most important things that comes across, especially from that little beginning of mine, one of the little story that was shared to me with regards to this frame of reference that gave birth to me was the fact that I came at a very time that I was not needed. I was not wanted. I was an unwanted pregnancy that everybody was like, so how are you going to do it? That was the narrative. And it was that from that space, I knew something was wrong because every time I look at how every other person around me gets started out of life, it's like something is wrong somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
And then you begin to see why anybody should give me a chance. Why? Because something is wrong. But with that little story of a wrong starting that could have defined how my life should be told in its entirety, I discovered that there's yet another powerful force that is also within me, that is ready to tell me what is positive and what is possible if I choose to drop the narrative of the past and of everything that shaped how I was born. So
That's a good place. I just want to give our listeners a chance to really let that sink in. You made a choice to drop the narrative. In my No More Lies workbook and healing journal, I talk about what is the lie that's planted in us as little girls that becomes our truth. You said, nope, that is not going to be my truth. I am wanted because of what's in me. That is
absolutely
powerful. Okay, I'm sorry.
absolutely.
I just had to, that was so good. I just didn't had to replay that. Keep going, sister. That is fabulous. So happy to make available to you the No More Lies guided workbook and healing journal. Here's a quick peek inside that will help you get your own copy to see what we've been talking about and having a place to write your thoughts as you remember your little girl, identify the lies, find the truth, and then rehearse that truth so that you can walk into the purpose God has called you to. Go to stacyspeakshope.com and order your copy today. Thank you and God bless.
So, what happened actually when eventually when I could sit down and see that actually something might be wrong? Because I just discovered that everybody else seems to get their life figured out faster. Everybody else seems to get to know what to do this. So it was a case of me starting out late.
Mm.
And it was like every aspect of my life, the way I was journeying through college, that's another case that I don't want to go to. You look at you having to sit for an entrance exam in back then in Africa. This is a qualifying exam that you do nationally that qualifies you to go into the college, as it were. And here was I sitting down to write that exam for 6 times, every year in, year out. I did not pass. And because of that circumstance, I started labeling myself as somebody that's not good enough, somebody that does not have what it takes.
Yes.
And the worst part is that I started believing and that narrative, and until it got to a point when I was even contemplating, oh, as you are going, when you go check the results, and if it's find out to be that you still did not have the score and the subject you need to get that entrance into the college, you should just call it quits. You should just end it. And then the consolation should be, well, you're saved, you're a child of God, and then you go to heaven, you're not going to hell. That was as bad as it went. But I remember another narrative that told me, if it's all about me getting saved and me going to heaven, then God should have taken me away the very moment I got saved. I shouldn't have need to use this life challenge to end my life. So I decided I'm going to prove that same situation wrong. That I'm going to prove what is possible. That if I look at my grandmom who took care of me, my mom who's trying to figure out her life, haven't gone to becoming a parent at a very young age, she never thought of. So how am I going to help these people if I choose to go this route? How will it add up? And I thank goodness for the little faith that I put in action to make and change the narrative of what my past was telling me to continue to define my present with.
I have to compose myself because the Spirit of God is moving in those words. Taking the college entrance exam 6 times. And keep going. First of all, you kept going back, sister. That's a thing in and of itself. The tenacity, the endurance, the faithfulness, the resilience that you kept going back. But it also reinforced that lie that was back to the unwanted pregnancy from a young mother that says, you're not wanted anyway. But you said, no, devil, it's not going to be that I take my life because I didn't pass this exam just because I'm saved. You took the whole thing and just flipped it back like, if God saved me, then he could have just taken me right away if that's all he wanted for me. But maybe without the words, you said, you know what? There's more. And you acknowledge the generations, your mother and your grandmother, that this was for, that this was benefiting. So you broke a generational curse on your family past. And now that you're a mother, future, because you didn't let that lie define you and stop you from the greater calling. And not to mention the lives of women you touch through your business and your show. So I just want you to know the Holy Spirit dropped that hard on me, and I'm like still got tears in my eyes and a lump in my throat because I feel the power of God on that. My little nose is turning red. So, amen. Keep going, but I want the listeners to not miss. These are beyond nuggets. This is like a whole treasure chest overflowing with the goodness of God and the resilience and the obedience of his daughter. So I'll be quiet now and let you keep going. But again, just had to put a pin because these things are so good. And I'm just like, I got a list. I'm writing without looking.
Yeah. So I wrote in this book, 2nd chapter, coming out of the woods. So the coming out of the woods was that sheer determination to prove that there is more to my life than what it is. That as long as I continue to allow my past to continue to define my present, then my future is not going to happen. So I have to tell myself that humble truth, that awareness that, wait a minute, every other person that is passing, what are they doing? So I came to that place where I did a self, awareness for myself. Yes. And in that space, I told myself the truth. What do I need to start doing to change this story? Okay?
Yeah.
So I decided I left home. I went to another state. I was living with someone like a friend who kind of wanted to support me. And then from that space, I look around. Everybody in that space were people like 5 years younger than I am, because I'm already almost. The funniest part was that the year I eventually got into college, all my friends, colleagues that we left high school together, they are almost in their final year, graduating, and then that was what happened. So I started attending classes again with my and they are junior to me, but I humbled myself. I decided I was not going to allow anything to make me, and then to start asking them, can we have more time to read together, to study together, and everything. By and by, I was able to see what I couldn't, and that is why I believe that actually there is nothing impossible.
Yes.
Once your mind is made, so everything will continue to, just like every object will remain in a state of rest and of uniform motion until an external force acts on it. That's Newton's law of motion.
I was like,
The
okay,
force.
science. Okay, I hear you.
Yeah, that's it. So that law confirms that until you get to that force where you remain so hungry, this anger is tending you to want to hate every other thing that will not let you be and get to that destination. So I think I got to that peak. I got to that point. I was tired, and I'm not going to allow this. That this is going to continue as long as I allow it to. And with that change I created, I think it was like a magic, because I wrote that exam, same me, and I passed. And I passed.
Weren't the same you.
My God.
You reclaimed a new you. You spoke life into a new you.
That inner me that needed to be fueled every now and then, I suddenly got the tenacity, the awareness, and the strength and the motivation to apply myself to building myself up to be able to get to that picture that I wanted.
I also love the way that you said you were looking at people around you. In one context, it was, I'm looking around and everybody's passing but me. But when you got into college, you looked around and said, you know what, they're younger than me, and I'm going to leverage that. So even looking around where people fall into imposter syndrome, life coach talk, but everybody thinks everybody's better than me and I'm not really qualified and blah, 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 the whole story that we go into. You said, you know what? I'm here now, and that's all that matters. I'm going to use and humble myself. I'm going to use the relationships of these people who are junior to me, humble myself and get what I need to go where I need to go. I mean, all the words that you've dropped about tenacity and diligence and humility and just holding on and not giving up. That's amazing. And that's so, you made an intentional decision. That's what I heard you say.
Yeah.
You
so eventually, what I now learned from that story is the fact that every delay that we encounter on our path to success, to life, they are part of the journey.
Yes.
And they say, that was why I titled my first book, Connecting the Dots. See, every of those delays, today I'm grateful because it made me who I am. You know what? So there's nothing about life that is going to make me lose my cool about who God is and the power and the ability He has to change. So there will always be a time that we will be challenged, that every one of us will be challenged, that every one of us will have to go through one life, and then our innermost being, our little one, that little you, needs to get to understand that, wait a minute, it's not about God hating you. It's not about you are at the wrong place. It's not about you are not wanted. It's about building something in you that is going to last into the roots, that when you grow, there's nothing that's going to pull you down any longer because it is just settled. So when I talked about it, I always look at you planting a tree. I can see the background they're using. So your roots need to go all the way down, that is touching the life, the living water, the living river that has to continue to flow to bring about the evergreen tree that the world is going to come and all the birds of the earth is going to come and perch and find closer and that's why when you see me talk about this movement and everything that fuels my passion to wanting to see how I can use my story to inspire every woman, because most of the time we feel the odds the most. Those of this negative narrative is like it's against us. Oh, how I'm going to take care of the home front, how I'm going to take care of my kids, how I'm going to show up in my office, how I'm still going to show up for my business. And it's like everything tends to make us feel the wind is against us. It is just not true. And I'm deciding to make my story available to help us see the limitless potential and everything possible if we choose to align with God and never to give up. So awareness, alignment, and then to continue to show up. It's a question of time. That destination is going to happen.
Yes. Yes. The destination is to come, the small seed of faith that's planted, the roots that go deep. And with even with the mustard seed, the roots go way deep before anything comes up. And then it's a tree planted by the living waters. I heard you. You was preaching. And so it's that going deep, is that seeing every challenge as an opportunity to grow deep in our faith, in our walk with God, and knowing who He is and being equipped for what He's calling us to. Is that what you said? Did I hear you right?
100% correct. 100%. 100%. So, so one of the things that I also remember then, so getting into college now, going on and everything. So I discovered that sometimes our way may not be God's way. But if we don't take the first step, or you don't get moving, you don't get to know. So look at what I'm doing today. All the years I've defined myself, it was like the part of me that you're connecting with now never existed.
Yeah.
Because that year that I was talking about, those years that I was feeling, I was alone. I was alone. I was not heard. I was not spoken of. I was just living life like somebody that's not in existence. But at the same time, the hair was growing like the case of Samson. So in that same space, I have a local assembly that were looking, I still was showing up, 7. They were looking for somebody who knows how to play the piano for the Sunday service. It was just a newly started off ministry. And I volunteered, and somebody came to teach us the basics of piano and what have you. And I just decided to give my time to doing that. I started playing it, showing up. Then when I mastered it, I started playing every Sunday. So it was just like another fun skill. And I remember those moments. And so when I see what is happening today, I can be on the piano for hours. Like I'm alone in the house. It's in the night and I'm alone. And I just put on the piano, just keep it. Sometimes I forget myself. I will just be speaking, praying, just doing anything that comes to my mind. And those years, and then go back to church, play on Sundays in the evening, and then take it back home. When I got to college, my institution for the first year, my hostel, because we have off-campus hostel accommodation, every of those fee was paid by the local assembly and by the fellowship that I was also paying. So you see, look at that. Look at that.
That's what I was going to say. Look how God set you up without even knowing, again, because you didn't quit and you surrendered what you had. You were willing to try something you never tried, and you went from being the I'm not wanted girl to I will step up and give what I have. Little becomes much when you place it in the master's hands. And that much paid for your college. That if you had gone 6 years earlier, wouldn't have been there. Provision. And that little girl story, even the steps of your little girl is like Joseph, right?
Yeah.
Joseph was sent into that well for the purpose of saving a nation. Look at the nations you are saving, because that little girl, even though she was not a child, single digits, she was still a little girl.
Yeah.
Out of high school, what do you know? You knew I'm not nothing. I knew, even though they tell me I'm not wanted, I need to change my place. You had to get in a different space. You had to get in a different state so that you could see things differently. When you looked around and you saw things differently, you're like, okay, there was something wrong there, so I need to be here. All in God's divine order and timing. I might not be able to say your name right because I want to use it right now, but
Okay.
I use this, and I'm so grateful for how this ties to the little girl healing journey, because not giving up. I always say that journey is not easy.
It's nice.
But you stay there because what you come out with is greater than you can ever imagine, because what God put in you is yet to even be seen. That little girl that you said, that woman that you're speaking from today, did not exist until you said, God, I give it all to you. And I didn't just get saved to go to heaven, or else it would have been done. And I wouldn't have to worry about none of this test taking and going to college stuff. But there was a greater purpose. And I love that you knew very young, something is wrong. And can name that, even as a young woman, a young girl. That was the Spirit of God. Even if you couldn't name it. Sometimes we don't know till we look back. My future book is on the other side. It's that looking back space. When you get to the other side, that's okay, God.
That's so profound. And then and I want to add to what you just mentioned, that it's a journey.
Yes.
That you keep on building up that muscle, building up that inner you, because until you continue to nurture it, everything you look at on the other side of life is in that possibility. It's continuous feeding, because it is very easy for you to continue to compare, and you look around and it's like you see every other person, and sometimes it can be fake, and sometimes you might be misled to believing that what you are seeing, and sometimes it is not real. It's a facade. So when you anchor your faith in the fullest of the understanding of whose you are, and you know why He created you, and you know what you getting everything His promise is going to mean,
Yes.
then you will not allow every other thing else that is not part of your journey to distract you. Because when I said I was in the lab, I told you of my background in industrial chemistry. I finished and I went into sales. I was a medical sales rep for some time back in Africa when I was still working. But I never knew. Even though I was struggled to even talk, but that was what I discovered, that actually going into college for that course was not even my strength. See, that is why sometimes it's a lot of work. And that is why when we see as parents, when we need to begin to guide our children, I will not go to blame my parents, because they knew better, they would do better. But back then, maybe someone will have even helped me assess and look inward to what actually would be my strength. Maybe at that point they could have. So when I look at how I engage and how I see myself as a people person, I just want to be around people. I want to see how I can connect with them, helping to also resolve, just helping. So every of those things has been inside. But I was struggling to get into college to study this, to study that. So that is just a kind of Sunday reminder for us as parents to also seek help in helping to discover and unearth our children's potential, so we don't get them just running around in spare code wherever that is not their strength. So having done that, when I began to see that strength, I'll now begin to have to look for how to shut down every other thing contrary. It tells me, because I was going to share how I found myself in this coaching space and in this personal development space. I did a retreat, and I had me to travel to Europe to see a mentor. And in that 2 week retreat, the man asked me 2 questions. And that question, I will tell you, was the beginning of this journey. Because, like you affirm, this journey called life is in phases.
Yes.
Is in phases. And you must continue to build so that you don't plateau. So when I was able to meet that man during that visit, he asked me, who are you? Don't tell me this college you attend. Don't tell me you are married. Tell me who are you? Who are you? Who is Adeola? So I could not answer that question. It took me long. It took me long to be able to have answer to that question. That was when I knew, actually, I've not discovered what I am.
That is so good.
So,
And it's just so funny you talk about that. I was determined from 8 years old that I was going to be an engineer. And then when I was around engineers, I was like, these people don't even talk. I don't want to be around them. I knew in high school, and just with that thing that we get in our mind, or the thing that we're told, I mean, this is success. But if my little girl was trained up in the way she should go, it would have been engaging with people and connecting with people and healing the wounds of people like I experienced. And that's now here we are. And just because we have the capacity to do the math and the science doesn't mean, and that's just a thinking skill. But in connecting with people, the phases that you talked about, it's important to continue to layer the phases so you don't plateau. That phrase really rings true. It makes so much sense. I'm so glad you brought that up. And most women, that's why what I discovered when I got into life coaching, most women, when you ask them what they want, they cannot answer it. Who are you and what do you want? No idea, because everything's always been about everything and everybody else. Thank you for sharing that. All the follow-up questions I was going to ask you, advice you would give women who were starting and trying to find, you answered it all.
Yes.
As women, as if you give advice to a woman who comes to you or here's the question I asked you, what do you know about your little girl? What would you tell her to help her find what you now know that you didn't know then?
So what I was sharing with you, that was the beginning of the journey to go and search inside. So when I struggle with the answer to that question, and I look around, there's nothing so spectacular other than take my children to walk them to the bus stop, and I go to my night shift and come back in the morning. That cycle. So there was a quest to know that there is more to my life than what I'm experiencing at the moment. But how will I be able to? So that was the journey that led me to this personal development and to doing what I'm doing now, to helping to see how I can also ask many women, many people that care to listen, to see how we can begin to discover ourselves, because that is the true meaning for lasting fulfillment in life. The journey to self-discovery. And when you self-discover, you are just going to begin another journey that is going to make life more meaningful to you. A lot of women have been to career, they have reached the crescendo of their career and top high and doing fine, but there is still something missing that they know they have not been able to connect to. And that is why I have found myself so privileged that after that journey, after that visit, after that coaching, I started looking for how can I do it. And one of the things that we always do, we look down on what we have. Because like I was telling you, I told myself, I have a saying. I told myself, oh, I don't know how to speak Queen English. I don't know how to be polished. I give myself every reason why I should not go into what I'm doing. But I'm saying to everyone who cares to listen and to just let you know that everything you are saying to yourself that you cannot, you told yourself you can. You told yourself. And only you can go and rewrite the narrative and tell yourself and believe that you have what it takes. Because this life, we only have it once. And after it, if we use it right, then we live forever. Because those people who live in the life of those are the people that have taken time to live beyond just for themselves. And so when I stepped out and started a YouTube channel with all the, I don't know how to speak Tush, I don't know how to do, I don't know how to, and when I left all those, I don't know how to, okay, I'm just going to talk and rant. If there's anybody that could find any meaning out of what I'm saying, then let's see. Yes. And here is COVID came and I did join, Tony Robbins for one special free event. And in that event, he gave us an homework. And from that homework, said every one of us, every excuses you have given yourself for whatever you've told yourself, you cannot do. I went into that space and I did that assignment. And in that assignment, I was surprised to see like 20 something people who commented on my short video. That day, I got the freedom and the permission I've been waiting for. That was the most liberating, because Tony, as a public figure, people connecting from different parts of the world, and I did that video in my corner and I posted it, and I was seeing people talking about, oh, I love your energy, oh, I love your vibe, I love your this. Shocked. So this is what I've been robbing my world of in the name of flimsy excuses. So every narrative that we have been telling our little self, we are the one that have been doing the telling. So it's time to go and unlearn and go and remove every of those narratives that does not support where and who we are truly. So that was what happened to me. And since that day till now, my YouTube channel has grown from just that small, tiny, oh, I don't like my voice, oh, I don't think I'm sounding nice, every of this. So here I am today, and I'm showing testimony to me.
That is amazing. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Those are such good words. And in that moment of liberation, that moment of being set free, that moment of pushing past, silencing all the lies. And I love you said you're telling them to yourself, because that's just it. We perpetuate that story. And I love that you talk about rewriting the narrative. The narrative is in here, because those people aren't even talking anymore. They're probably not even alive, some of them. And by just pushing past it and stepping out there. And the other thing I think of is you also were in a space where people were looking for the positive rather than the negative. Again, change of place.
Yes.
Everybody in Tony Robbins wanted to see other people do well, because that's what the vibe is. That's the energy. That's what they signed up for in your regular everyday world, where people are like, how can I tear you down? There's always going to be something.
It's just true. There's no brain behind that. And it's the power of environment, like you said. When you surround yourself with battery chargers, yes, then you get your life charged up positive. Then you go around the naysayers, the negative drainers, battery drainers, yes, you're not going far at all. So that is the first thing.
They just suck the energy out. I do sound effects. I can't help it.
So that is the first step, to drain yourself of everything and every environment and every relationship that will not help you to get yourself in the right frame of believing in what you have. So until that time, keep yourself away from those people.
That's so beautiful. Well, Adeola. How can people find you and follow you? We want to give them a chance to continue to hear more of your story, your sharings, your beautiful testimony.
So I am Adeola Aketoja. My YouTube channel is Adeola Aketoja. So if you just type my name, then you'll find me there. And also on Instagram, I have my at Lodeta Consulting, which is the M that is dedicated to helping people package their stories, their narrative, their wisdom and expertise into books. So I have that also. And so you can just search for Adeola Aketoja.
Beautiful. And we'll make sure to put it in the description. If you heard anything you like, subscribe, share this, and drop the word liberation in the chat. You described that moment of freedom, that moment that just was a shift. Thank you so much. I want to honor your time. I want to honor your voice. This has been beautiful. And bless you. Thank you for listening. Thank you for coming back to Staci Speaks Hope. If you're not inspired by this, listen to it again. Thank you again. Have a blessed day. And until next time. Thank you for watching Staci Speaks Hope. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share. To schedule a free coaching call, the link is in the description.
Wrong woman, holding in story she needs to tell what God really wants you to do in this world. In His name, hope to break free from the shackles and the lies that have become your truth and put blinders on your eyes. You built walls around your heart. You have plugged up your ears. Get freedom to hope's what you need. It's in reach. Wipe your